Hey, what's up, guys? Evolutionary podcast coming your way. Steve Smi along with Rick, and we're back for another episode, guys. We're steamrolling almost to 300 episodes. This time we have a really awesome guest to come on here. He's actually a forum member. He just called in, and he's on Evolutionary Radio. So how you doing? Tiny Giant. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you guys?
Great, man. Appreciate you calling in. Yeah. So basically, start us off. Tell us a little bit. Tell us your stats, and then tell us, how can we help you?
All right. I'm 33 years old. I'm about 300 pounds. I just recently lost about 20 pounds, and around 20% body fat. And I started a diet, so I'm trying to figure out a good cycle to maintain my muscle. I don't like to do the overboard doses, so as little as possible, with getting the good side effects.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your history. How long have you been? So you lost that weight lately. Have you always been 20% body fat area or higher, or has this something been fell off the wagon?
Oh no! In high school, I was really lean, really skinny growing up, and then probably about 8 years ago, I started lifting religiously, and then I was able to put on about 80 pounds. And recently, over the past year or 2 years, I was able to put on more mass to where I've been around 300 pounds. But generally speaking, I've always been a really skinny person, so I did like a perma bulk. So now I'm trying to get that body fat off.
Yeah, so this is actually really good that you called in, because we see this a lot in the gym. We see guys who were skinny all their lives, and then they kind of just like get sick of being skinny, so they just go with the permaball thing. Lots of food, lots of steroids. They get big and strong, and then they get to the point eventually where they're like, you know what? This isn't what I actually want, and I want to go back to being lean. So this kind of happens. So you kind of hit that peak in your life, and then now the roller coaster is coming back down. So you're like, man, I need to change my priorities. So how did you lose that 30 pounds? Did you just kind of cut out junk food a little bit?
I bought a diet from. Can I mention names?
Sure thing. Doesn't matter. Yeah, of course.
Mike Davies. I listened to Rough Rugged podcast, and I had him put me a diet together. So I've been following it. I haven't been following it 100%, but decent enough to where I've lost 20 pounds in about 3 to 4 weeks.
That's good. Taking anything else with it, or just diet alone?
Oh, just diet alone. I've been on TRT for a while. To be honest, the way I gained most of my size was just this one pro hormone stack, and then the rest of it was just pretty much TRT with very minimal doses of blasting throughout. Maybe like 3 blasts, 600 milligrams of test max, and then I would occasionally throw in the 20 milligrams of Anavar or 20 milligrams of Winstrol. So my experience isn't, like most others. I try to get them, do the least amount I can to get the best the best results.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. I advocate that too. If you're going to do it, just use the smallest amount you possibly can to get you there. Don't overdo it, because you're wasting both money and time and putting your body through more than you really should. When you can, I think anybody should be able to grow up between 500 to a gram a week. It's about of combined stuff. Should be about all you need to make some good progress. If you can't make progress on that, then you've got some other issues.
Yeah, that's about the max I've done was a gram total. Like I've tried DHB, I've tried NPP. The DHB didn't go very well. It left like baseball-sized knots, so I would skip shots just because I didn't want to deal with that. And
DHB is nasty post-injection pain. I've never used it, but it's notorious for that. So I kind of steer people away from that. How was it though? Was it harder on it?
Yeah, I noticed decent results. Again, it would have probably been better if I, was consistent with my shots, but it had EO and guac in it, so those are pretty harsh, and I guess I don't do well with EO. And I guess now they make it without those harsh solvents, and I haven't tried that yet.
Some of this UG stuff out there is kind of hit or miss. Sometimes it'll be good, sometimes it won't be so good. You're getting TRT from the doc, though, right? That's human grade legal.
Yeah.
That's good
I get
stuff.
a
Yeah.
blood work every 6 months, so my blood work's in check. So all that's good to go.
Yeah, I tell everybody that can to get started there. Get your TRT because that good human grade test that you're going to get, you're getting exactly what you're paying for. You know, you don't always get that when you go underground for sure.
Yeah, I started TRT pretty young, around 25. I think that's about when I started. I had low. My test levels were under 200, and my free testosterone didn't even register.
We see this trend a lot actually now, and a lot of it has to do with the environmental factors. A lot of it has to do with soil depletion. A lot has to do because when you have soil depletion, you're consuming foods that are non-organic. You're not getting that boron. You're not getting that zinc anymore in your system. So your testosterone levels
A lot of
just
genetic
drop.
situations too can cause that as well. It happens.
Yeah, I went through most of the standard procedures to check and make sure like the my adrenal glands were okay, my pituitary gland was all right. Which that leads into my second question, but yeah, I guess
So,
my first
so
one
let's
is
get started with your first one. Yeah, where we going?
well, like I said, I try to do as least amount as possible to get the benefits from it. So I've been wanting to try DECA and EQ, and I can't make up my mind. And I was thinking about not doing testosterone at all because I know I listened to the show. I've been going back and listening to it. You guys mentioned you don't even really need testosterone, so I was kind of wanting maybe an idea on that.
Well, Steve and I think differ on that. I like testosterone, especially just the fact that you're getting it human grade legal test. I think you should always start off with that, in my opinion. And
Okay.
then add anything else on you want. Out of the EQ and the DECA, I'd go with the EQ, man. I'd go with the EQ definitely. I like EQ a lot. It's the only other steroid that I've continued to use. When I stopped using everything else, I would only use human grade test and a little bit of a vet grade EQ here and there. And I really enjoy EQ because it gave me great results. And at its worst, all I got was a little bit of back acne from it. It's really nice. So I tell you, I think you should go test an EQ. I think it's a great stack.
What doses would you recommend?
What do you, how much were you taking? Refresh my mind of a TRT now. What is your TRT now?
200 milligrams a week.
2 a week. So just toss that out the window and do put in another 300 to 500 of tests a week, and then I would jump up and do about 750 total if you're gonna do a real cycle, and just do between 500 to 700 total between those two. But I would do about total 500 tests a week and total probably 400 um, a week of EQ. That'll be your 200 a week of tests that you're getting now already anyway, plus a little bit added on. I wouldn't, since you've been doing it for so long, I wouldn't even count those 200 towards anything. You start fresh at 1,000, 0 to 1,000 from there, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah, I never thought about doing it that way. That's actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah, because you're already, I mean, if you weren't doing that, your body would be giving you about 200 and change a week naturally anyway. But been on TRT so
Right.
long, it's hard. This is, that's your baseline. So I would start from there. Yeah, I would do another 300 to 500 more tests from there, and I would do twice the test as I would the EQ. That's just kind of like a ratio that I like to run. But I don't know. But what does Steve have in mind?
Well, you're already on the TRT, so I would just use that as your little androgen. And I agree with Rick. I mean, the EQ would be beautiful for you because the EQ is a nice mild steroid. It's not going to cause the side effects, okay, of other steroids. And then also, if you keep the test at your TRT dose, you don't have to worry about the estrogen increase because you're already a big guy. So why put that much more strain on your heart? So I'd keep the tests low and I'd let the EQ kind of work its magic. But I think you should take advantage of the EQ more and kind of get moving a little bit more and kind of like change your goals a little bit from being just a big guy in the gym who lifts heavy to start doing some more active things like, more cardio.
What kind of cardio activities do you do besides just gym cardio? Do you have anything you like doing?
I have zero. I'm supposed to be doing some, but I don't do that. I need to.
Yeah, that's one of the first things you want to take up just as a lifestyle. You want to have an entertaining activity that burns a ton of calories, especially us guys. Once we get above, 35, 40, you got to have some sort of activity or 2 or 3 activities that get your heart rate up and and are enjoyable, because that's going to be a better way for you to long term stay more motivated about your goals and staying into the thing. Because if you're only grinding out the cardio at the gym, it'll over time it'll just be harder to keep up because it won't be as interesting all the time anymore.
I was gonna say, let me just suggest this because you're a big guy. Let me suggest this for you, because the problem with you running, and I see this a lot, because I used to be a competitive runner. Bigger guys, you're gonna have a really hard time running, man, because that's gonna be a lot of stress on your body, on your joints and stuff. So this is what I recommend for you. Like, this is a really fun way to kind of exercise. Bicycling outdoors is a really fun option for you, especially if you have like a lot of hills around your area. Up and down hills and stuff on the bicycle is really a lot less stress on your joints and stuff as a big guy than it would be running. Also, if you want to run, try to run like hills. Go up, run up hills, because that will really get your heart rate up quick, and you don't have to go out there and run for like 30 minutes or an hour. You can just go up and down hills for like 10 minutes, and you get a great cardio workout for that as a big guy. And that will kind of, since you don't like to do cardio, and a lot of people don't, that actually is something fun that you could do, and it would kind of knock that out, a lot easier.
Yeah, running is pretty hard on my joints. Oh yeah, I forgot I'm 6'6", by the way, so I forgot to mention that. That might make the 300 pounds seem less heavy.
Right? You had an issue. We were going to mention the joints, correct?
Yeah. When I try to run, it's on gravel, and it usually tears up my knees.
Bike riding, man. Get a little mountain bike riding, $400 or $500. It'll be the best investment you've ever made.
I'll do that. My wife's been trying to get me to do that anyway. So
yeah, I mean, it's fun. It won't hurt your joints any. You'll be able to get a good workout in. Only thing to look out for with bike riding is you want to make sure you get used to riding a bit on an empty stomach. You don't want to be these guys that pound a bunch of carbs when you get on the bike, because then when you get off that bike, you'll be hungry as all hell. So in order to not come off hungry off the bike, no sweet drinks, no sugars before you get on there. You wanna try to ride with with what you got in your liver, basically, is what I do, because otherwise, if I pound the calories to get on the bike, dude, get so hungry, man. It's why a lot of bike riders don't do well losing weight if they don't watch their diet.
All right.
And swimming too. Don't forget swimming. Swimming's a good
You got to
option.
take something up, because you're going to have a hard time keeping this up and staying long term, because everybody does a program. Everybody has they want to get from point A to point B, but you really want to adopt the lifestyle changes along the way, and that'll keep you long term. That's the goal. Is the goal, stay with it. Let not this be something you have to keep doing over and over again. You get out of shape, come back on, get out of shape, come back on. You see?
Right. Yeah. The goal is once I get some of this body fat off, I'm going to maintain that. Plus, I need to do something anyways for heart health. So it all works together.
You said you did a diet that's brought you down this much. Tell us a little bit about that diet. What does it look like?
It's 6 egg whites in the morning with 3 tablespoons of cream of rice, and then my second meal is 7 ounces of fish with I can't remember that one. Hold on.
You're on this diet now. You're currently on it, correct?
Yeah, I can't remember.
This is the one where you got with a trainer and you paid for this diet, for this program for yourself.
Yeah. This is the one I'm currently doing, and it's 3 tablespoons of cream of rice. Second meal is 7 ounces of fish with 12 asparagus spears. Meal 3 is 5 ounces of tuna with 3/4 cups of diced celery. I do not do that. Half cup of avocado. Meal 4 is 4 ounces of flint, 2 ounces of chicken, and then meal 5 is 8 ounces of chicken with 1 cup of rice, and 8 more asparagus spears. And the final meal is 3 ounces of tuna with 2 egg whites and half a cup of avocado.
Okay, so that's 6 meals, right? You haven't?
Yeah. Well, hit or miss. I'm not very good at meal prepping yet, so I'm still trying to get that down. Cooking food and then, making sure.
Do you cycle your calories in any way on that diet? Do you cycle your calories in any way on that diet, or are you on the same calorie intake every day?
Well, I guess I don't hit all the meals perfectly, so I guess that would be my calorie cycling. because I do not get all that in every day.
Okay. Okay. Now, are you not
But
hungry in between
that's
meals? I mean, are you feeling good in between meals, and that's why you're not eating it all, or do you not like some of the foods?
well, I haven't figured out how to cook the Brussels sprouts yet, and
Okay.
being able to meal prep and hold the food, and then it tastes good when I heat it back up is usually the issue.
Okay.
But no, when I follow it pretty well, no, I'm not really that hungry because it's enough food in between. But if I miss a meal, then yeah, I get really hungry, and then I want to go binge somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's so, I mean, it's a pretty standard kind of 6 meal a day diet, pretty clean. It's not bad. I mean, and if you've got a lot of weight to lose, almost any diet will work. I've
Right.
come across people that had a lot of weight to lose, and I just said, hey, just cut the sugars out. Don't just drink water. Don't have any sugar in your coffee. Don't have anything. That alone can make a big difference. So definitely, if you've got a lot of weight to lose, the 6 meal a day, the way you're doing it, clean eating, I mean, it's going to work for almost everybody out there.
Yeah, I just gotta get better meal prepping,
So
preparing the meals and freezing them.
to answer your first question, and we'll take on the second one, because we're going back and forth a little bit. I would say, man, test an EQ. I suggest you don't mess with the deck. That's no need. Um, Test an EQ will get you there, and you just make up everything else with just good diet and training. You don't need, in
Okay.
my opinion, you don't need to mess with trenbolone. You don't need to take 3 or 4 or 5 different steroids. At its core, all we're trying to do is really 2 things at its core, really, most of us, right? It's just lose body fat and gain muscle mass. That's it. So there's no need to add on 4 or 5 compounds to just achieve 2 small things. If you just have more testosterone, some EQ, strict diet, continue the diet that's working for you now. Once your body gets maybe used to it and doesn't work as well, or you get closer to in the teens body fat, then you might need to make some tweaks to the diet. But for now, man, diet, training, stay with it. And I wouldn't do anything else, man. Just test an EQ. You're going to be fine.
All right. When you took EQ, did you have any blood thickness issues? I know that's the main thing with this one.
They it does raise your red blood cell count, but it caused me no issues. And pretty much
Oh, okay.
every guy on steroids has their blood cell count through the roof. I mean, it just comes with the territory. I've never had any
All
issues
right.
with it at all. If anything, it gave me more endurance. I felt like for cardio training. But this is why you cycle off all this stuff. You do it for a little while, a couple months, 3 months, and then you come off of it. Test, your body can handle test lifelong. It's meant to. But things like EQ and any other steroid that nature didn't create, but we did in a lab, you'd want to just cycle in and out of. You don't want to stay on for too long.
Right. I have another question that tags onto this one kind of.
Sure.
I have some T-ball laying around. What do you guys recommend? Not do that at all, or just throw it in there just to see how I react to it?
Well, it's good stuff. If you
Yeah.
already have it, dude.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
The first 4 or 5 weeks you can use it because the EQ has a long ester attached to it, and it's going to take about 4, 5, 6 weeks for that EQ to hit peak. Even though it starts working right away, but it still takes 4, 5, 6 weeks to hit its peak. So the T-Bowl can be your little kickstart, and it's just keep it at 20 milligrams a day, 30 milligrams a day. You don't need to go higher than that, and it'll give you a
It's
nice little.
pretty
Yeah.
common. It's pretty common to use just something to kickstart. What Steve said is absolutely right. Just use it for a couple of weeks, 2, 3 weeks at the start, and you're good.
Okay, cool. That's what I was thinking. 20 milligrams.
See, your
what did
situation
you
is a little
recommend on the?
different. Your situation is a little different because you're not looking to do a PCT to do a post-cycle therapy because you're on TRT. So you can
Right.
get creative with that T-ball dose, and you can do a couple, 2, 3 weeks at the start of the cycle, and then even at the end when you're coming off of the stuff, do a couple more weeks there at the end. You gave your liver a break, and you can you can finish up your T-ball if you got some more left. Since you're not going into PCT, it really doesn't matter to add some more at the end.
All right. All right. I guess my next question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Hit it up.
Okay. I had my doctor run a bunch of tests, and prolactin was one of those. It came up pretty high. It was 34.4. ng slash ml, and the range is 4 to 15.2. He gave me some Caber. I ran the normal dose for, I think it was 4 weeks, 0.5 split into 2 doses a week. And I went back about a month later and it was 20.2. It's still in the high range. Do you know what could cause that? I believe I did RAD 140 and I came off of that for some time and then I had this done. So I was pretty much just on TRT for quite a while, minus the RAD 140.
And when was the last time you had you had a test where they test for prolactin and it was in normal range? Do you remember how long ago that was? How long in between tests?
I've never had this ran before, so I had it ran on January 23rd, and it came up to 34. And then I had it ran on February 4th, and it came up as 20.2. And then on April 20, oh no, just TRT. And then on April 20th, it was still 22.9, and I was definitely on TRT then. So I didn't know if there was
so this is 3 tests. I'm sorry. Let me follow this. This is 3 tests, correct? And
yeah, in prolactin test.
When did you use the Bergaline?
I did RAD 140, and it was before the first initial test, but I'm pretty sure I had like 3 to 4 weeks after I was off of that before I took this test. So end of December, or during December, I had RAD 140, which from what I read, it shouldn't affect any of that.
No, there's a lot of different reasons why your prolactin could be off, and I've known a couple of friends. I have a close friend of mine who's had prolactin issues his whole life, and they're different. There are a lot of different reasons. You have to kind of start going off of just your test and keep testing and see where your levels are at. But I mean, I hate to even mention it, but stuff like even a brain tumor could cause you to have prolactin levels.
I had that. Yeah, I had my.
Did you have your pituitary? Did they check your pituitary glands for a tumor?
Yeah, I had a CT scan done after the initial testing, and that came back clear.
Good,
so it's not that.
Okay, definitely. Well, you definitely are on. Have experimented and messed with the sauce, with the juice, and there are some folks who might have side effects from it later down the line. Now, it's hard to say. I would say keep testing every 2-3 months. Stay on the Caber and get your body fat lowered as well. The higher body fat, if you're prone to it, you're most likely gonna have issues with prolactin as well. So as we watch your body fat come down, we'll see if also your tests get straightened out. Have you had any? Here's the other question: have you had any side effects from prolactin, or I mean, is it affecting your day-to-day life, or is it just a number on a paper at this point?
From what I could tell, it kind of makes you lethargic. As far as that's the only side effect I can tell. And that could be many other things. It may not even be related to this.
Androgens can make you like that. If you hit the sauce, it can make you lethargic as well.
I've been on TRT for quite a while.
Your prolactin levels, if it's in the low 20s, as long as there's no pituitary tumor going on, there's no tumors, and you're clear of that, I won't even pay any attention, because what happens is, if prolactin levels are sky high for a long period of time, the main issue you have is lactating nipples. Like we see that with guys who abuse Tren for like a year straight. But in your case, as long as you're not having lactating nipples, it really isn't that big a deal. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just keep an eye on that for litter. But prolactin levels do fluctuate. So you could be in range some of the day, and then some of the day be out of range. We don't know that because you're not testing yourself so many times. So, and it's interesting because we know dopamine and prolactin are inverse. So your dopamine levels could go down, be lower, and that's what you're describing when you say low energy. That could be affecting your energy. Your dopamine levels are down. So that's why you take the Caber. The Caber will raise your dopamine levels and drop your prolactin. So that's why the doctor puts you on the Caber. But he's covering up something. So I agree with Rick. Get your lifestyle in check. Get healthier. Get your body fat down, and you'll be surprised how everything ends up balancing itself out when you do that.
This is one to keep up with. You already got the pituitary issue out of the way. You'll be fine there. It doesn't seem like it's affect day-to-day life that much. I mean, how long have you felt lethargic for? Is this just something you realize after you read the list of symptoms, or is this something you've been thinking about for a minute?
It's for a while, but it could be because my job's kind of boring. So, but
Yeah, this
yeah,
is one to keep up with and keep an eye on because it will fluctuate. Also, we'll see how what it looks like once your body fat levels are lower, which is it's important.
okay. Yeah, I only took the Caber for the 1 month. That's pretty expensive. So it's maintained the low 20s on its own. It seems like.
Yeah, when we see with this with doctors a lot, they try to like cover up the issue instead of fixing the root cause. So throwing Caber at the issue is not going to fix it. It's just going to cover it up. So if you don't see a
Right.
difference in your energy levels and stuff, then we can kind of deduce that the lack of energy is other things. So once you, like you said, once you get your body fat down, once you get healthier, you start exercising more, you'll start feeling better, and you transition. What we talked about earlier about the diet you're on, one of the ways you can break through your floor is kind of reducing the meal frequency during the day. Instead of 6 meals spread out, that's the type 2 diabetes diet that a lot of people love to charge people for. Well, that's what diabetics have to do, because they have to balance their blood sugar all day. You're not a type 2 diabetic, I'm assuming.
What was your
right?
body fat percentage about right now? You say where you're sitting
I
at
would say it's, I would say it's probably around 20%. I haven't done the calculation in a while, so I'm not 100% sure on that. But I'm not gonna get myself below 20%.
Your glucose levels are normal though, right?
Yeah, all my A1C is all right. All my blood work is all right. My estrogen is a little high. I wrote that down when I had the prolactin levels done. My test serum was 878. My free test was 46, and my estradiol sensitive was 65.8.
If your body fat percentage is 19, 20%, 21, 22, no medication, nothing should be done with anything on those tests until you get your body fat percentage down, because there's a lot of stuff that starts happening with your hormones, and everybody's body will react differently once you get above 19, 20, 21% body fat. So I think even before you take anything on that test serious, you got to get below, around 15% is where, most guys should try to sit at, not go above that. So once you get down, you're going to see those prolactin levels drop as you get your body fat lower for sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and
I just didn't know if it was an issue.
Your total testosterone is where?
878.
878. Hi, he's up there.
Okay. So here's my suggestion here, and this is something that you're gonna have to talk to your doctor about. Your estrogen is high. Okay, it's way too high. It's at 65. Okay, that needs to be down below 35. Okay, how do we get your estrogen down? Now your doctor is probably gonna be like, oh yeah, take an aromatase inhibitor for that, because you're probably not on one right now, correct?
No, actually, he wouldn't prescribe me one.
Okay, so here's the funny thing. He won't prescribe you an AI, but he's giving you too much testosterone. The reason your estrogen levels are high is because that testosterone is aromatizing into estrogen. So I see this a lot with people. So what I would suggest is you drop your TRT dose lower, okay? That's going to be crucial to helping you balance everything out, because your estrogen levels are too high because you're taking too much testosterone. Now, some doctors will be,
if he's going to cycle, he's got to add an AI for the cycle for sure.
Yeah, if he's going to increase his testosterone, but I'm saying for his TRT dosage, that's a red flag that you're running too much TRT, and that could be this causing your pituitary glands. Obviously, pituitary glands are shut down. Okay, so they're going to be shut down. So that's actually worse in your benefit. So in case you do have a tumor, but what I want you to do is be your own doctor for a second and think about this, because your estrogen levels are twice where they should be. I would drop your TRT dose to about 150 a week and get your so your estrogen levels getting those, because what's going to happen long term is you're going to open yourself up to problems. You're going to open yourself up to prostate enlargement, losing your head hair, heart disease, all kinds of stuff, because you're running too much TRT. And we see this a lot with doctors because they want their patients to be happy. So that's something for you to look into. Because
are you getting the shot at the doctor, or do you take the stuff home?
Take the stuff home. Actually, I've pretty much been my own doctor. All these tests that I've asked for are on my own asking, and then he actually wanted me to do 300 milligrams every other week, but I could take it home.
I'm not telling you to do this, right? But I've had a couple clients that do. They'll run a lower TRT dose because you don't want to be on a high dose permanently. It's like Steve said, it's not a good idea. They'll run a lower dose, and since they get a take home, then they'll run a cycle a couple times a year with the overage. I can't suggest you do that, obviously, but I have known people that do that. They'll take that higher one, and then they'll just run a mild with a natural test booster or something along the way, a really mild TRT dose, and then they'll just use the additional source for a cycle.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I would suggest just getting your TRT level down where your estrogen is in line. That will be the indicator, because there's no difference between being at 500 total testosterone and being at 850 total testosterone in terms of
when it's all the time. When it's all the time, your body will get used to it. Not when it's all of the time.
Yeah, I mean,
all right, I'll definitely give that a shot.
Yeah, because think about your prostate health long term. If you're running too much TRT, it's just going to cause your prostate to get enlarged. You're going to start urinating frequently. You're going to open yourself up to prostate cancer as you get older. So you got to think of your long term here. And really, 200 milligrams for most people is too high of a TRT dose anyway. Most guys are going to be somewhere between 125 and 150. So you got to be your own doctor.
You keeping your gains, by the way. You keep a clean lifestyle, keep training hard. It won't affect you keeping your gains because you're still getting enough.
All right. Yeah, that's my issue with my dieting. I always feel like I'm deflating, so then I go binge, and then I inflate back up. So that's why I struggle with the diet.
Yeah, you've got to. You can't look in the mirror and worry about that. And let that make your decisions day to day on your program. You got to have a program and stick to it, no matter what you think you look like on a day to day basis.
Steve, you mentioned the 6 meals. Should I combine some of those meals and make them less frequent?
Well, let me tell you this now. I don't believe in the 6 meal a day program at all. I believe in time restricted feeding, where you're only eating about 4 to maybe 6 hours in a 6 hour window out of the day, because I don't think it's you want to have energy in your body every day. It's called time restricted eating or intermittent fasting. If you maybe skip a couple of days where you just have water and don't have any calories. So this is working for you now. So this is why I've made no suggestions to change anything drastically, because it seems it's working for you now and you're happy with it. So I'm not going to tell you to change, but as it gets harder for you to lose the weight on this program, I think eventually you're going to want to move to a time restricted eating. Now, you can still have all those 6 meals you're having anyway. The difference is you would maybe have your first meal between 3 to 4 p.m. and you would have your 6th meal at about 6 to maybe 9. At about 8 to maybe 9 p.m. at the latest. And you could still get the same amount of calories in. You just crunch them in a smaller time window, so that you give your body a nice long period of the day, every day, that it's not being bombarded with insulin. And so that's my belief for just being healthy and long term. But what you're doing right now, it's working. You got with a coach, you discussed it, you invested some funds into it. I suggest you keep going with it, and then maybe start researching time restricted feeding and intermittent fasting. I'm not the guy who invented this. There's a lot of people that proposed fasting for weight loss and other reasons, religious reasons. People have fasted for religious reasons for ages. So it's something that I would research if, in your case. And once you start to see this diet slow down on the progress a little bit, which most diets do, once you get down below, around 15% body fat, gets tougher, then you can look into the time restricted feeding. And what I like about time restricted feeding is that it's something you can do long term. It becomes a lifestyle quickly because you don't feel hungry anymore. When you wake out of bed, you can have some water, some black coffee, some green tea, no sugars, and go about your day, and you're not hungry, you're not lightheaded. Noon, 2 or 3 rolls around, and you're still not hungry, you're not lightheaded, your body's working on stored fuel. And it's not until you smell the food and you put it in your mouth that you actually get hungry and want to devour stuff. So you're not suffering all day. And as long as you can maintain it, it becomes a lifestyle, and then you'll never have to worry about your weight, or you'll never have to worry about getting too far out of shape, unless you really abandon the lifestyle, because it's so easy to keep up because you're just not hungry. You're just not food, and food preparation and eating just doesn't become that much of a concern in your head. You're not worried about eating until 3 or 4. It really frees up your morning for a lot of other things, your afternoon as well for a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, it'd make it easier to eat during work. That's the biggest problem, trying to get those meals in during work. Do you wait until after you're done lifting to eat your first meal, or do you eat your first meal before you hit the gym?
I do all my cardio in the morning, fasted. Then I don't eat any calories even after my cardio. And then I'll actually eat my first meal just a couple hours before I hit the gym. I hit the gym in the afternoon when the sun is down. I mean,
Oh, okay.
I can't remember the last time I was in the gym when the sun was out. If I'm going to go indoors, is because the sun is down. So I'm at the gym at sundown. I've already had a few meals by then. So I do my cardio to keep my heart healthy and keep myself lean in the morning, fasted, and then I don't eat until the afternoon. Now, when I'm in the gym, I've got calories and protein and just good stuff coursing through my system by then.
Well, let me jump in here. What time of the day do you work out? So let's kind of mold it to what you do. So what part of the day are you working out? Because most people work out either before work or after work. So when do you usually do it?
After work, it's usually around 4:30 p.m.
Okay, so if you were to, when you decide to switch over to this restricted feeding schedule, the most optimal way to do it would be to fast all day until 4:30, work out, and then eat after. But that's so late in the day. So I would tell you to eat maybe middle of the day, like maybe 1 o'clock, and then you work out at 4:30. Then after 4:30, don't be in a rush to eat. You're in that window, right? So then eat in that window. So stick to a 4 or 6 hour window every day. So maybe your
What time
first
are you
meal at
usually
1 or 2 o'clock. Go ahead, Rick. What did you say?
What time do you usually sleep by?
Usually around 11 p.m.
There you go. So then your last food is around 8:30, 9ish.
Okay. Yeah, I might give
See,
that a shot because my problem is
cram it down. If you
getting.
can cram it down to eat between 5 and 9, you'll be fine. You can eat the same amount of calories, bro.
Let me ask.
All
Let
right,
me
yeah,
ask
I'll
you
give
this.
that a shot.
Are you hungry the first part of the day? Because you wake up, you go to work and stuff. Are you hungry during the day?
Yeah, but I think that's just because I created that habit. So I'm
Right. So
usually
you're
wanting.
eating out of habit. You're not eating because you actually need food. See, that's the difference. Like if you see the Nature Channel, you see a gazelle next to a lion drinking water. And you always ask yourself, why doesn't that lion eat the gazelle? It's because the lion isn't hungry. The lion is going to eat when he's hungry. He's not going to just eat because it's a habit to eat the gazelle. You see what I'm saying? So in nature, every animal on earth eats when they're hungry. They don't just eat because it's a habit or because you're going out to lunch with your buddies from work. So if you can somehow do that, like fast and then work out and then eat, that would be wonderful. And eat in that little 4 hour window, like what Rick was saying. And then just eat, man. You don't have to worry about counting calories or counting macros or any of that bullshit. That's the big
You want to eat
secret.
clean, of course. You want to eat clean, of
Yes,
course.
you do.
You don't want to have cake at
Clean
You
food. There's a
can maybe
difference.
once in a while, but not every day.
There's a difference between
Right.
a fucking avocado and a sweet potato and fruit and a steak, clean foods like that, and eating pizza and Pepsi and that type of garbage, even though they're the same calories. Okay, one food sends your insulin levels sky high, and one food sends your insulin levels only a little bit high, and then it comes back down. You see what I'm saying? The body reacts differently to foods. Your hormones react differently to foods. Your metabolism react differently for foods. So don't even worry about like counting calories as long as you're eating clean, okay? And making your own food. Restaurant food is dirty. They put in hydrogenated oil, they put in salts, sugars to make the food tasty. Not that salt, there's anything necessarily wrong with salt, but they put it in there to make it tasty so you keep coming back, you get addicted to their food. But if you cook your own food and make your own meals, you can put what you want in the food instead of, eating what the restaurants put, all the oils and all the crap that the restaurants put. So it's about eating clean. It's about restricting, the time of the day you're eating. And then you can throw in a 24-hour fast here and there. Maybe every couple of weeks. Throw in a 24-hour fast where you don't eat anything all day. Go
I
ahead,
just
Dre.
want to throw something in, and I hate to interject, but look, um, the fasting, once you get on with it and you start doing 2 and 3 and 4 day water fasts, you're going to notice a big change in your joints, how your joints feel, and and it's definitely going to give you much better results in your blood test going forward. I believe that it heals a lot more in the body than just looking good, but I don't go around saying that to people to get everybody's hopes up. I don't have a book to sell or seminars or anything. This is just a lifestyle that I tell people should adopt. And there's a ton of other people out there, YouTube, Google, that can explain it much better than I can and can give you a lot more information about it than I ever do on this podcast. But you're going to see a lot of health benefits on your joints, not just from the weight loss, but just not having your body bombarded with insulin all day. It allows for certain things to heal faster than they normally would when you're feeding all day, and also your levels. One of my buddies actually had his prolactin levels normalized after taking up the lifestyle and after becoming a time restricted feeder and an intermittent fasting guy. It just helps everybody that gets onto it across the board. It helps them out. And like I said, I talk about it on this podcast. I tell everybody that I run across that needs help about it. I don't have a book. I don't have a channel about it. I don't monetize from the diet at all. If anything, I have a supplement company. I sell nutritional items. And I'm telling folks now, like, look, you don't need to take any diet aids. You don't need to take any appetite suppressants or anything from me. Just get on this program. And once you're below 15, 14, 10% body fat and you want to get down more, then you could maybe pick up some items from me that could help. But just the lifestyle, man. The lifestyle helps everybody along the way. So yeah, I mean, your joints and your prolactin, definitely you're gonna see improvements in both of those areas with this lifestyle.
Yeah, I'll give that a shot. Because it'll be easier for the diet plan that I'm using now to get it all in real quick, 4 to 6 hours instead of trying to plan it out throughout the day. Plus, I have some stomach issues that I've heard that stuff really helps with too. So.
Oh yeah, because
you might find that you can't get all those calories in. You might find that you're full by 8 or 9 and you just don't want all that food. And then the next day you wake up and you're satiated, you're fine. You don't feel hungry the next day in the morning. You're good. You might find that your body can actually perform real well on fewer calories, but I suggest just eat until your heart's content. Try to eat your 6 meals in that time span of those 4 or 5 hours, and you're going to see a huge difference in the way you look.
Okay.
So you mentioned your gut health. What happens is when you're not eating, that gives your stomach a chance, your digestive system a break. So that's why it's going to help you a lot. Because if you're throwing food at your stomach every 2 hours throughout the day, that your stomach and your body has to process that food, you see? So if you give it a break, that's why I'm saying, like, if you just go the whole day without eating, just eat in that 4-hour window, and then maybe do a 24-hour fast every now and then, maybe a 36-hour fast, maybe a 48-hour fast here and there, and that will give your digestive system a break. And like I do my prolonged fast, my bowel movements slow down tremendously, obviously, because I'm not bringing in food. So that's giving my digestive system, my intestines, everything a break, my stomach. And that gives it a chance to repair itself. So it really is something that even if you want to stick to 6 meals a day, you still should be doing a 24-hour, 36-hour, 48-hour fast every now and then to give the gut a break, because it's amazing how we keep throwing food at our gut in the American lifestyle. And we wonder why most Americans are deficient in minerals. 80% are deficient in minerals for that reason.
Yeah, my GI doctor, he didn't even give me any recommendations like this to help my gut. He was just like, here's your biologic medicine. And
but here's the funny thing. I dated a nurse, and all the doctors she works with do fasting, but they don't recommend it to their patients because why? There's no money in it. And that's not what they're taught in medical school, you see? So how can you make money telling people not to eat? It doesn't even make any sense. So of course they're not going to say that, but they all do it themselves. The smart ones do.
I stopped selling stimulants or any kind of appetite suppressants through my brand when I took up fasting myself, because I just found a better way to keep hunger down, a better way to just do something long term that is really going to work. And I tell everybody, you don't need to take any diet aids. If you want to get below 12%, 10%, yeah, throw a little something on top. But just fasting, dude, it'll hunger, that stuff, that feeling that you think is hunger, it's really not. Is withdrawal symptoms from sugars. You shouldn't be hungry and feeling like you're lightheaded and you're having an episode because you haven't eaten in 3-4 hours, when you've got ready energy stored on your gut, stored under your chin, stored in all these places. Fat is energy, and it's already in your body. So you shouldn't feel hungry every 3-4 hours. It's not natural. It's not normal. It's just an addiction. So giving up the addiction is number one, man.
All right.
Do you have any other questions, bro? It was great having you on. Any other questions for us?
No, but I'm sure I'll have some in the future.
All right, maybe we'll.
But I think this. Oh, I was saying, I think this gives me plenty of information to go, to get me by a while. And like I said, I'm always listening to podcasts, coming up with new questions. So I'm sure I'll have some more going forward.
We'll follow you. How about this? Let's talk to Steve. We'll follow you up again in exactly 5 weeks.
Okay.
Come on, you tell us what changes you've made, how things are going. Are you going to have another blood test between now and then?
I'd have to see when I go back to see my doctor. I do it every 6 months, so it's usually around January and July or June. So yeah, probably. Yeah, actually, I probably will.
Okay, so we'll follow you up again. Let's have another call in 5 weeks, and you tell us what you've done and how you're doing.
So I probably should wait on this after I get that blood test done.
I'm sorry. Wait
on the cycle. The cycle, the test and EQ.
That's a good question. What do you think, Steve?
Look, over the long term, it's not going to matter if you run the cycle or not. You see what I'm saying? But like, you got to look at like the year-over-year gains, over 2 years, over 3 years, over 5 years. Like just running this cycle for 10, 12 weeks, doing this a little blast here is not going to be the long-term solution. So you can do it or you can't do it. It's really up to you. But I would get your body fat down. I would get your body fat down first to, at least 16, 17%. And then, you be more flexible for running steroids. Because you're a big guy. You're not some skinny little 180-pound, 200-pound guy. You're a 300-pound guy. You're a big guy. You're 6'6". So you have a different body structure. So you got to factor that in too. So for someone like you, I'd at least get it down under 18, under 17%, and then worry about it. That's what I would do. But ultimately, it's up to you. But whatever you do, we'll still have you on in 5 weeks, and you kind of tell us how things went. How about that?
I'll tell you my little opinion on it too, just so you know. Now, what came back in your blood work, none of the markers for kidney disease or liver issues or cholesterol or any of those immediate things where I would really say like, bro, you can't do it. It's your prolactin, and we don't know. So I'm not as scared of a high prolactin test, like especially your ranges, as I would be if it was something else like liver values or issues with your kidneys and so on. So yeah, maybe give 4 or 5 weeks of cleaner diet, getting the body fat lower. I do agree with that. I think if there was a good reason to delay your cycle, it might be to just get your body fat level a little bit lower before you hit the sauce, in my opinion.
Oh, well, actually, I was talking about like if I started this, my test levels are through the roof. He might lower my TRT dose, is what I was getting at. Because if I might be getting blood work done in about a month with my TRT doctor.
Oh, so go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I see an endocrinologist. So he's the one that's prescribing my TRT.
Oh, okay. I would say wait it out, bro. I'd say let's do 4 or 5 weeks, adjust diet, and let's wait it out and see and try to push him to get another test in the next. When was your last test again? It was in April, correct?
That was just for some other tests I had asked to be done, and just for that particular test. My full range of tests was done in January, so when I go back to see him, I believe it's in July, I can ask for all those tests to be ran again. He'll do it for me. But what I was just saying, if I had my testosterone, it's going to show it through the roof on that test, and he's going to look at it and wonder why it's through the roof.
Yeah, true that. Yeah, if you're gonna run any kind of cycle, you want to do it in between tests because he'll
Right.
take you off the TRT if he sees your
Yeah.
pattern on for sure.
Give it a good 6
Yeah,
weeks. Give it a good 6 weeks as your last injection before you get your test, and then go back to your regular TRT dose, and then you'll be in the clear. A good 6-7 weeks would be enough time. So yeah, don't run your cycle a few weeks before you got to go to the doctor, obviously. So you got to work on that. You got to work on the timing of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Would EQ throw any red flags up?
No, it will not.
So I could probably go ahead and start that soon, and then let that build up, and then after my blood test, up to test those.
Yeah, certain steroids like DECA will actually interfere with your testosterone levels, believe it or not. It'll actually spike your testosterone levels. We've seen that. Trenbolone will actually spike estrogen levels because the metabolites show up as estrogen in blood work. So some steroids do affect blood work and some don't, but EQ doesn't really. The only thing with EQ is the RBC. Your RBC, your red blood cell counts would be elevated, which is the case in any steroids when you're running too much of it. So the doctor may red flag that. That's the only thing.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate all the advice, guys.
Hey, no problem, man. So we'll talk to you again in a month and change. Set it up with Steve.
Okay,
man.
great. Thank you.
All right, buddy.
No problem, buddy.
Take care.
All right, you too. Bye.
All right, bye. All right, guys. Yeah, we appreciate Tiny Giant for that great call, guys. So really, that's what this podcast is all about, guys. We're trying to help spread the information. It's all about in fitness. It's all about sharing information, guys. We're all human. We're all brothers and sisters in this, and we all trying to help each other, right, Rick?
Yeah, and this is going to be the way that we're going to run the podcast. Hopefully, from here on out, is we're going to get just regular folks on that have real questions about their whole situation. We're going to take time with everybody so we can discuss your whole thing. And it's nice to have personalities on and people that are doing books and all kinds of stuff. These doctors. It's nice to have them on, but I like to talk to just the people. I like to know what guys want, what questions are out there, and we all kind of have some of the same questions, some of the same challenges. So it's just great, guys. Contact Steve.
We'd love to have you. So hit me up on the forum, Steve Smi. And on behalf of me, myself, and Rick, we appreciate you for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks for listening.
Hey, have a great week, guys. Have a great week, Steve.